And hopefully it's up there. Are they, is Mr. America, is that a WADA tested event too? They're trying to hold that standard, like the Yorton and like everything else.
Okay, so that was at the Mr. America last year. Since we had so many different federations involved, so PNBA, which is WADA, the WMBF is kind of sort of WADA. They have their red
Sort of.
I think, right?
Yeah.
OCB, they really only do the polygraph. So when I was there, they were trying to get the athletes, and a polygrapher came up to me. He's like, "Hey, you're a pro, right? Come in. You're supposed to do the polygraph." I was like, I'm supposed to be getting the WADA test, not the polygraph, because you have to pay for the polygraph.
Right.
They had them specifically for the OCB. So I think the Mr. America this past year is that they were held to the standards of their federation. And so for NBA pros, we had the WADA test. So it was also, so I think that's the way it's going to be even the next year. So, yeah. And that's something you have to ask Mark Torriello, the promoter, on how they did it. But I think they were trying to make sure that each federation, were able to, compete at their
sure.
And I don't know if that puts anyone at an advantage or disadvantage, but you can take it as it is. I was just happy to be there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, organizing a big show like that and trying to get everything. I mean, obviously, you want to draw as many competitors as you can. So whatever is going to be most appealing, I can understand that for sure. And I know a lot of those shows too. It's common to have polygraphs up front, and then they'll take the winners. I know this is just a money-based thing. You'll take the winners, the top three or whatever, and then you get tested after the show's over. At least that's what I've seen, is you're getting tested, right? As soon as you step off that stage, you're going in the bathroom, no matter how dehydrated you are, and the guy's going to stand over and look at your shoulders. So now you have dehydration and stage fright playing at the same time.
It's crazy.
I had an awkward, I don't know, this is funny, but what's the longest you've stood in there? Because I've stood in there, I'm not kidding, for maybe 45 minutes to an hour with this guy, where I'm like, what do you want to talk about, man? Because this is not happening right now. Like,
yeah, I
remember the first time it was weird too.
It's not the best moment in natural bodybuilding, that's for sure. Luckily for me, I continue to drink a lot of water even as I get to step on stage, so I don't have a problem having to go to the bathroom and everything else. But there's a lot of competitors, like you said. I was judging and part of the WADA testing at one of Brandon Lirio's shows in Connecticut, and there's these guys, they just couldn't go, and they would just say, come back, drink some water, do what you got to do. And like this much coming out is bright orange, and he's like, what the heck? It is what it is, and you have to wait until it gets filled up. You got to fill up 2 vials and then do all the it's a long process, it's an expensive process, but it's what we have to do in the sport, legitimate. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because it's one of those things. I'll never understand why someone would want to cheat in a natural bodybuilding show, but it definitely happens. It's definitely out there.
Yeah, it's crazy. The year that I competed in the Generation Iron one, we had one of the top pros there. It was top 5, and he failed. This past year, we had a female and a male fail in the Natural Olympia. So they're catching them. It's if you cheat, you're going to be caught.
I mean, that is what you want to see too, as far as you want it. I don't think it's necessarily positive or negative for the sport. It just lets you know there's a standard being upheld. And that's, for someone to put in the sacrifice that it takes to get on stage and do all that and travel and all those things at the end of the day. You don't want to be disenchanted by thinking that something's going undetected and someone's getting away with something, for sure. Cause that just isn't going to sit well with anyone that's really cares about what they're doing and is doing it the right way. Where do we go from here?
Well, I know exactly where to go from here.
Okay.
I know exactly where to go from here. So Philip, you've been around obviously a lot of like natural competitors. You train with natural competitors. I'm assuming, I'm trying not to make an ass out of you and me, but I'm assuming that you've been around. Yeah, you've been around a lot of, at least a good handful of like enhanced competitors. Is that correct when I say that?
Oh, that's correct. I mean, honestly, I've been to so many different gyms, obviously, throughout my career.
Yeah.
Even in the military, surprisingly.
Oh.
You would be.
Yeah.
You've seen it. So I like that. Yeah. So you've seen guys, you're like,
cheers. Yeah. America.
But unfortunately, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Guys But I've been to Golds. I work at One Life Fitness now, but competitors around, and I know right off the bat, for the most part, or 90% certainty that someone's taking some. Sometimes they even admit it to me, because a lot of them, I don't even know who they are. And to me, and they have respect, and I respect them the same way. You still have to train, you still have to do it. This is a choice that they've made. But with those competitors, some of them I train. I've got like about 14, 15 clients that I train online, personal training. Some of them even ask me to train them. And, obviously it's a lot different trying to train someone like that versus natural. And never really has worked out with the enhanced ones. I've trained like a couple of them, but I typically stick with, just the natural athletes. And I'm not going to turn any of the enhancements down, but I don't think I can do the same, knowing all the stuff they're taking.
No, right. So
but yeah, go ahead.
That feeds into my question, what's the biggest difference in your experience where you're dealing with someone who is a natural competitor versus an enhanced competitor? Like, what is, all the natural guys I've seen, Dustin, you've said this too, and I remember being told this my whole life, where if you're not taking anything, just get strong in movements. And then if you are taking stuff, you can just pump train your little heart off, and it works. Now, in your experience, what's the major difference between natural and enhanced?
I think the major difference, honestly, is that you can see the size difference, And the thing is, if you don't train while you're taking that stuff, you're not gonna see. Right. You have to put in that work. Like you said, the reason why anyone would consider taking that is they'd have to be in the gym 6-7 days a week, 3 hours a day, and push that heavy weight, because they know you can recover, unlike a natural competitor where recovery is key. Nutrition, sleep is key, recovery is key. You can recover a lot faster, obviously, with testosterone growth hormone. So those athletes that you see in the gym, they, you'll see them in there and they're crushing heavy weight. They're a lot stronger, a lot bigger. You see like a natural competitor in clothes, we just look like maybe a football player, a small football, maybe a halfback, scat bat or something like that. But if someone who's on something and they're eating and training like they should, it's a huge, huge difference. They're just monsters in there. And that's pretty much it. That's the biggest difference. Personality wise, I didn't want to make any kind of judgments on that, because there's going to be some natural people or drug-free people that probably have attitudes too. So but that's the only thing I see difference wise in the gym. So
okay, so just the amount of sheer volume that not only they can handle, but they actually have to, and some do, depending on if they're doing some maximal weights for higher reps or doing heavy weights, they have to have a higher rate of volume because the recovery is just that much more.
Correct. And their physiques, you see them, especially if I see anyone getting ready for competition, they're just so much grainier. They've got different muscle bellies. You can just see it in their physique. It's just a total look, A lot of them have just a lot more thickness from the growth hormone if they're taking that. It's just, the type of conditioning that they can get depending on what they take. And I'm not even really a steroid guru. I don't know out there, to be honest with you, but just from looking at it, you can see right away for those that are taking the serious stuff and higher level of competition, their physiques are just like on a whole new, level. It's just cartoon times, so.
Yeah. Do you think with natural competitors, the whole idea of, hit like high intensity training that Mike Mentzer or maybe Arthur Jones or like Dorian Yates, the way he kind of took it to another level, do you think that's a little more behooving than doing like higher volume for naturals?
I've heard naturals doing both ways, the intensity Mike Mentzer type training, and some of it works for them, but I think then the recovery is still going to be the key to that. If you do it and then you're constantly training over and over again, your body the chance to rest, I don't think it's going to be beneficial. And it also depends on your body type too. If you're someone who has a hard time losing weight, you're a thicker guy, then that might work, but then nutrition is going to be a bigger part of you getting into competition shape versus someone like me who has a harder time gaining that weight. I can do that and hopefully gain enough strength and power to thicken my physique out and then, kind of cut it down too. So I would probably tell any competitor to try everything, as long as I've been in the sport competing for, 40 years, not 40 years, or, 40.
Whoa now. Whoa now.
That's the
Tom Brady of natural bodybuilding. This is
no.
We're not counting him out. If someone's going to do it, he's going to do
it. That's right.
But, I think the longer you train, you try everything. I've tried you know, like I said, you know, the German volume, high intensity training, powerlifting. I haven't tried CrossFit, but I think everything that you try and you see how it affects your body, you know, it's going to be beneficial to you if you just, so.
Yeah.